Hi friends, hey, welcome back to The Narrow Shoulder. I know it's been a long time since we've given you guys an update about, where we're at and what we have planned for our future. And it's just been like a really good summer of relaxing and getting to be with our family and friends. We got to do lots of canoe trips and fishing and camping and bonfires and, barbecues, all that fun stuff that we like to do in the prairies. And it's been about 3 months, and that whole time we've really been in prayer, seeking direction from the Lord. And I feel like we know where God is calling us for our next season, and that is to stay in Winnipeg. I know some of you guys might not be shocked by that at all. Maybe you already knew that that was going to happen. Maybe some of you guys are as surprised as I am, because I did not see that coming. It's been a really tough adjustment to go from having our heart and mind just set on going east and not coming home until the task was done, to all of a sudden being sent home by the Lord himself and being back home and just trying to catch up with the change that the Spirit was bringing us into. I had no idea when he said that, he was closing one chapter and he was about to start something new. I had no idea that that meant being in Winnipeg for that next season and chapter. But it is. And so this is how the Lord spoke to us to arrive at this conclusion so that we could walk it out in faith and confidence. And I want to share it with you guys so that you can too, and continue to just, love and support us through prayers and counsel. And so there are two ways for myself that the Lord really clearly spoke this to me. God spoke to Levi first, and Levi seems to know really early on that this is where the Lord was leading us, and I was much more apprehensive about it because it was just a totally different change. I didn't know how it all added up, and I just needed a lot of time to pray and talk it through with God. And so two of the things that the Lord spoke to me personally to help me walk in this decision was, one, he gave me a dream. And in this dream, God made it super clear. He almost diagnosed my heart or examined my heart for me and showed me what was happening inside. And this is what he said. He said, "Amy, you're tired. 2, I'm not going to send you out when you're tired, and I'm not going to send you to pick up your bicycle in Spain and cycle, all the way to Israel or further, because you've already learned the lessons that I've wanted to teach you the first time I sent you. So this whole last year, when you've been overseas, I accomplished my purposes in which I had sent you. So that's why I'm not going to send you back out there. That chapter's done, and we're going to start something new." But then at the end of the dream, he gave me this hope or a promise that one day I wouldn't be tired anymore, and that he would send me out, but it would look much different than the first time he sent me. And so that was the first dream, and it was really powerful and very hard to dismiss, even though what I was hearing wasn't exactly lining up with my will and my emotions. So it took a little while to continue listening, and then he confirmed it again while we were in Alabama. And what he did was he supernaturally spoke a scripture over Levi and I. He spoke Deuteronomy 8. And what Deuteronomy 8 is about is God is talking to the Israelites, and he's explaining to them exactly why he sent them into the wilderness and where he was sending them, which land he was sending them to next. And so in the wilderness, in Deuteronomy 8, it describes very clearly that the reason why God sent them into the desert for 40 years was to humble them, to test their hearts, and to see if they would obey the commands of God. And more than anything, so that they would understand something that their forefathers didn't know. And it is that man does not survive on bread alone, but on every spoken word that comes from the mouth of God. And in a nutshell, if I could have explained what we learned in our time, like in Halifax all the way to Israel, it's those 4 things. Like, he was humbling us, he was testing our hearts all the time, and just like purifying and putting us in the refining fire, and more than anything, teaching us the power of his spoken word, and the supernatural grace that comes from eating his word. Yeah, so anyway, that was really cool to read that. And then 2, it goes on to explain the new season that God's taken them into. And it's a land of milk and honey. It's the promised land. And, God says that it's a land where there is no lack of bread. And he goes on to kind of explain and warn the Israelites, and he says, when you build your houses, when your herds multiply, when your silver multiplies, and you pretty much have everything you want and you've eaten your fill, he says, just don't forget about me. Don't forget that I'm the God who brought you out of the wilderness, and that I am the God who gives you the power to create wealth, and that everything you have is not done by your own strength, but it's done by the strength that I gave you. I give you the power to get wealth. And so that was another really encouraging word, and it just seemed to it was like this conclusion paragraph to the end of this wonderful season that Levy and I just walked through, and it was done. This wilderness journey, and yeah, it felt pretty final. And so having peace and just having this blessing of provision over our lives allowed us to kind of move forward in confidence that God had our back and that his purposes for us in Winnipeg are good. And so career-wise, Levy and I will be getting full-time jobs, and Levy actually just got a full-time job working as an aircraft maintenance engineer. He's working at Harv's Air, and it's like his dream job. If he could have worked for any company in Winnipeg, Harv's Air was the place where he wanted to work, and he got that job. And so we're super happy for him, and we can already see God's blessing over our family. And so that's really cool. And then as for myself, I had another dream that kind of gave me some direction. And to my great surprise, God challenged me to start helping vulnerable people in at-risk homes, kind of like social work. And so I've never had any attention or focus on that area of our society, and I've never would have chosen that path for myself. But because God breathed on it and he's set my eyes in that direction, I'm just going to try and walk it out faithfully, knowing that he is bringing us into a deepening covenant with him and a deepening love and servanthood for people. And social work and social services is a place that I can just feel the challenge to love the poor, to love the widow, to love the fatherless, to love the oppressed, to love the outcast, to love the immigrant, to love the people of society that Jesus loved, and to reflect him in that nature. And so, yeah, I'm going to do my best to start walking in that direction and just see where it goes. And so, thank you for listening. Thank you all for your prayers. They were greatly needed and appreciated for these last 3 months that we were here. And we hope to just continue to have your guys' friendship and counsel as we journey, because this is still the narrow shoulder. We're still trying to choose not just our way, but we're trying to choose the faithful and righteous way that leads to life and that leads to righteousness. And so, God bless you all.